Many of you probably know that I was a big fan of the Pixel Buds Pros. I used them quite a bit, but I had one big issue with them, and it was the fit. I found that as I was moving around using these earbuds, wearing them, mowing the yard, walking around a store, whatever it might be, they would just slowly start slipping out of my ear over time. And that's why I was very excited to see that the Pixel Buds Pro 2, is that the right way to phrase it? Pixel Buds Pro 2, that is correct. When those were announced, they were bringing back a wingtip design from the A series that would hopefully help keep them in place. I ordered them myself and they just arrived. We're going to unbox them, take a first look at them, and give my first impressions. All right, guys, so here are the Pixel Buds 2 Pro in this sort of minty green color. Winter green is the actual word for it. Like most of the recent Pixel releases, they are in this highly recyclable box, which I actually like to look up, and the design is quite interesting. It's one of these sleeve things, but you have to open it by peeling this thing off the bottom. That actually allows the sleeve to slide off and out of the way. Very similarly to the other devices, they have a photo of the device, or a sort of like a slight picture of the device on the top. Opening that up again, we are all cardboard. There is the case itself. We're going to set that down for just a moment and look inside, where we do have different size ear tips. So medium is what is in there currently. We'll set that aside and peel this off. Momentarily, we'll slide this out of the way, and we will take a look at the 3 Pixel Buds that I have. This is the A series, this is the original Pros, and this is the Pros 2. And you can see that it looks like it's a little bit bigger than the A series, but it does have that same sort of eggshell color, or eggshell coating, I guess I should say, to it, a finish. This is the original Pros, very similar. Am I crazy, or do the original Pros look a little bit more glossy than these? That's interesting. Otherwise, almost identical. That might literally be identical in terms of the size, but we do have USB-C on the bottom. What is this other little hole down here? That looks like a speaker. I'm unaware of what that is meant to do. I guess maybe we'll find out in the course of this video. Opening the thing up, and immediately, these look much smaller than my current Pixel Buds Pros look. Before we go any further in the app, let's actually pop this thing out and you can get a good close look at the bud itself. It is definitely a lot smaller than last year's model. Let me pull last year's out really quickly as well. I honestly had no idea that there was that big of a size difference between these models. That is going to make a huge difference in terms of fit. And then we also have this little bump on the back, which is going to help keep this thing in place as well. That is my biggest problem with the current Pixel Buds, is just that they don't stay in place all that well for me. They're big, they're bulky, and they just tend to fall out. So that is going to be a really big improvement. If we take a look at the A series Pixel Buds, you can see that they are also quite a bit larger, but they also have this little nub, and I'm a big fan of this design. I'm curious if that's going to be enough compared to that to keep them in my ear as well. One thing I also do want to quickly point out that bugs me about the old Pros is that they're hard to get out of the case. They don't stick out very far, and they're just kind of hard to get out sometimes. These are sticking out a little bit further, and they are way easier to grab. That is a small thing, but for me, it's not actually really a small thing. I'm actually really excited about that. At this point, I think that the most important, biggest thing we could do now is actually try these things on. I cannot wait to see how well they fit. So you're supposed to be able to just sort of put them in and leave them like that. But if you want to sort of have them be locked in, you're meant to twist them so that that little nub is going to be sort of butting up against part of your ear to be locked in. I can immediately tell you that they are much, much lighter weight, and I'm hopeful that that in and of itself is going to help hold them in place. But one thing that's kind of surprising to me, best I can tell, this is the case. If you look at this video here on their shop page, you can see the twist to lock in thing. It's twisting backwards, and I hadn't noticed that. I had assumed you would twist them forward to sort of get underneath this part of my ear, but I was like, well, they're too shallow to be able to do that. That's how the A series work. But these twisting backwards to lock in makes me think that they're butting up against this part of my ear, which is different than what I expected. Let's take a look at the settings for these earbuds. Of course, this is just going to be inside your phone's settings. There's quite a bit here. So there's obviously active noise control, there's noise cancellation off, and transparency. I can tell you with transparency on, I'm editing portions of this video as I'm going. I'm hearing all that stuff just fine. This is not going to be a review, okay? So just like I'm not going to tell you exactly how all these things fit in this video, I'm going to tell you they feel snug right now, but you know, as well as I do, those things kind of change over time. I'm not going to tell you exactly how good the transparency and noise cancellation is in this video. I will say transparency does seem encouraging, and the noise cancellation, me just sitting here, it feels extremely, extremely quiet. I guess one thing that I could do, which is a way that I normally test these things, is I jump over to YouTube and I pull up a video that is just sort of a bunch of people talking. And from that test, it definitely does seem like it's doing a pretty decent job of canceling that stuff out. We'll go back over to the phone and we'll kind of move forward. Digital assistant. So underneath this, we do have obviously a Gemini built into this thing, which I think I have set up to be triggered by pressing and holding on the right earbud. What's the forecast for today? And you can see that that is working just fine. I'm hearing it being read off in my ear. You've got your touch controls, and I really, really like that you can do the swipe forward and swipe back to change the volume. This does seem like a little bit smaller of a touch target than perhaps it was before. Maybe not a huge difference, but I don't know. Maybe that's that's got to be a little bit smaller than the old version, but still, it's big enough for me to be able to do what I need to do on it, raising and lowering the volume. And you can change the press and hold. So I have mine set up so that right one is the assistant, left one is going to change between my noise cancellation. And you can change to, I really like this, I don't want off to be in that sort of roundup. So I'm going to just go between transparency and noise cancellation. Off should not be one of them, and you can have that turned off. That is really, really good. Under sound, we have conversation detection, which I normally leave turned off, but it is an option for you. And we do have an equalizer. If I'm not mistaken, you should be able to really dial this thing in to some degree as well. We're definitely going to mess with this here in just a little bit when I start testing the audio hearing wellness. So that's cool. So it's actually trying to detect how much sound is coming through, I think. Volume level notifications. That might be useful to some of us that are actively trying to damage our hearing. More settings. In-ear detection. So when you pop them out, it'll pause. Case sounds. So that is a speaker. Get sound alerts for charging status, battery level, and more. How about multi-point pairing? So you can actually have it paired to 2 devices at a time. That is also a really good one. And an audio switch. They'll automatically switch between audio sources based on what you're doing. You need to be paired to the same Google account. That's a cool one as well if you do use multiple Google devices. So let's talk about the sound really quickly. Just set on the default equalizer. I feel like I picked a song that is fairly dynamic, has a lot of loud, quiet things, lots of dynamics going on. And I'll tell you that just from this very quick listen, this thing does sound pretty darn neutral to me. It doesn't really seem like it's doing a whole lot that like punches. Now, keep in mind, this is subjective. You're going to like what you like. I like to hear a very punchy sound. I'm actually normally a pretty big fan of Samsung's earbuds because of this. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into the equalizer and I am going to create my own custom equalizer and see if I can get this thing where I want it. So with just a little bit of tweaking, I definitely feel like what I have is a punchier, more aggressive sound. I will say that I'm pretty impressed with just the overall clarity. It really does feel like they're trying to keep things fairly neutral. A lot of earbuds, maybe they've got a lot of bass, but then you lose your mids, maybe you lose your highs. I've had earbuds before that the highs almost had like a hissing kind of thing to them. That doesn't seem to be happening, at least in this song. We're going to listen to another song that I think is a good option as well, in particular for listening to those highs. They're trying to keep things very, very neutral and very balanced. Maybe balanced is the better word. If you've ever listened to the first bit of vocals in this song with earbuds or headphones on, you'll know what I mean. It's very bright and fluttery, and a lot of earbuds get this sort of hissy thing in this song. They're doing a pretty good job of keeping that at bay. So I would say so far, we're in a pretty good spot with the sound quality. One of the things you're supposed to be doing with these earbuds is having like long conversations with Gemini. So I think what I'm supposed to do is say, let's talk live. Even if my phone is in my pocket with my Pixel Buds Pro 2, would you still be able to talk to me? And basically, it's confirming that yes, even with this phone in my pocket, it would be able to talk to me. And that's the idea, right? Is that your phone is in your pocket, you're walking around and you're just having this conversation with Gemini. You're interrupting it to ask follow-up questions, whatever it might be that you're asking it about. And potentially that could be kind of cool. What I'm going to do from here is wear these things a lot and see if they start to loosen up over time and see how I feel about the features, just the consistency and all sorts of different things. And we will probably have a full review video sometime around a week or so from here. So guys, make sure you're subscribed for that video before it does come. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.